sweatshop is?
Yes.
Describe what your definition of a sweatshop would be.
My understanding of a sweatshop is basically there could be two variations of the same thing. When people are forced to work in deplorable conditions, or they are forced to work for less than a living wage. Also, sometimes sweatshops are referred to when you have child labor. So it could also be that. But it doesn't have to be child labor to be a sweatshop.
What is your take on them? How do you feel about them?
Well, I think a lot of people in the United States don't realize that a lot of the stuff that they have, and that they use, and that they love, like what you're recording me on, they're sweatshops. The people in China are not being paid a living wage, but yet we love it because they can keep the prices down, and so we get stuff like your iPhones for very cheap, but it's based on sweatshop labor.
How do you feel about sweatshops in America?
I think we do a pretty good job of eradicating those. I would actually like to see us change some of our laws back. We've kind of made it difficult for family farms. The sweatshop laws have really intruded on our agricultural industry. Used to be when farmers had kids, they would have 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 kids because they needed someone to milk the cows every day. They needed someone to help bale the hay. And some of our laws have intruded where if they're a certain age, they can't work so much. And I don't know if you know anybody that's grown up on a farm that would tell you that it hasn't made them a good person.
Right. Did you know that there were sweatshops in America?
I'm not aware of any sweatshops in America now.
Okay. How do you feel about sweatshops in other countries?
Well, I think we have to be understanding of different cultures. If the choice is to work for a nickel a day or die because you don't have anything, then you're going to have people that work for a nickel a day. And a lot of these countries, they're poor. I mean, what people think is poor in the United States, they have no idea. So, you know, if you ask those people, yeah, they'd like to make a little bit more money, but they're thankful that they have a job. So.
Who do you think is responsible for the sweatshops?
Consumers.
Okay. How do you think it could be solved, or how would you solve it if you could? This problem.
Well, as an old economics teacher, you're never going to solve it because we're never going to have equality with wages, with anything. That's part of why the United States has been the leader in the world as far as an economic situation, is because we have natural resources, all the natural resources really that we needed to get started. And we were tough. And so we got the railroads up and running, and we were the leading in manufacturing. Now, China said, oh, we'll steal all your manufacturing jobs. And with a lot of President Obama's policies, it's forcing companies to go overseas. And it's hurting our country, hurting people's jobs. So, you know, I would like that not to be, but I'd also like people not to have to get cancer either. It's just part of living. It's part of our world. There's bad people, there's good people.
Do you know what a sweatshop is?
I do. It's where you have people working who create a product at an extremely low cost. They're not paid very much, and they work very long, hard hours.
What is your take on sweatshops?
What is my take on them?
Yeah.
I believe that they're wrong. Obviously, you want people to be paid according to the work that they do in their education level, but you don't want to take advantage of people. Essentially, it's another form of slavery, in my opinion.
How do you feel about sweatshops in America?
I didn't realize that we had sweatshops in America.
It's with tech companies, actually. They hire people from, like, let's say, for an example, from India,
Okay.
right? That have the specific qualifications for a job that we need here, like at a big company like Coca-Cola.
Right.
So they hire it for Coca-Cola, right? But this person in India gives them basically like their whole life savings, so that tech company can sponsor them
With
so
visas.
that they have so that they get a visa, right?
Okay.
With that visa, they come over here and that tech company is supposed to have a job ready for them. But when they come here, that company doesn't have a job ready for them.
Okay.
And so what they have to do is find a job to basically live, you know, on for a couple of months or so, and until that company finds a job for them at one of the bigger companies, right, like Coca-Cola. And what they do is they have that worker there for the amount of the time that they want them there, right? So, and they keep their visas too, the tech companies. So
Okay.
this person doesn't even have their visa. So when it's time to renew the visa, the tech companies and the big companies haven't even enrolled them, like saying that they work there. So basically they get deported. And
So are they working and not getting paid?
they're getting paid less than half of what
Okay,
the American worker gets
gotcha,
paid.
because they're illegal citizens technically.
Right, exactly.
I understand.
How do you feel about sweatshops in other countries?
I think any time you're mistreating people and not paying them appropriately based on their level of work and education, it's wrong. I don't think it matters what country it takes place in.
Who do you think is responsible?
Who do I think is responsible? That's a good question. Because as a society, we like to blame everybody else for our problems, and we like to place accountability on everybody else but ourselves. I do believe that the companies are ultimately responsible for for taking advantage of these people, but I also believe that governments or other organizations should be mindful of these things taking place, and there should be some kind of consequences for these companies or organizations that are mistreating people this way.
And how do you think it could be solved, or how would you solve this if you could?
Well, like any issue, I think that you need to make people aware of it. Like what you had just told me about this with the Indians and the visas, that's something I didn't know about.
Right.
So you have to publicize what's going on, and you have to get people motivated to take action before anything's going to happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know what a sweatshop is? And explain.
Yes, a sweatshop is it's like a factory in third world countries or developing countries. They pay their workers crap money, like they only make like a couple of dollars per week. They don't have any health benefits. Most of the times they work for like a certain amount of years before they're able to leave, and the whole time the money goes to their families.
How do you feel about sweatshops in America and in other countries?
I feel like it's wrong. You know, the people working, they definitely should be paid more, or like have like health benefits, or stuff like that, because the machinery that they work with sometimes it could be, or like if they do something wrong with it, it could be it could lead to like a fatal injuries. Wait, you
Okay.
made me say it. It was too funny.
Continuing. Who do you think is to blame for the sweatshops?
I feel like the government's to blame, definitely. They have a chance to switch things up, like fund them more and everything. To blame, I mean, really, I guess you would have to blame the company owner, or whatever.
You wouldn't blame us, the consumers? People who buy the clothes?
Well, it's not really our fault. We need these people to work. We don't make them. We don't force them to go to work. It's just that unfortunately, it's them. Like whoever's in the sweatshops right now, it's them. And it doesn't have to be them, but like I said, unfortunately, that's the situation. That's what they were born into sometimes.
So how do you think it could be fixed?
Honestly, I don't know.
Do you think it could even be fixed?
No, definitely not. I don't think, sweatshops will ever stop. We're always going to need people to do labor for cheap, which is why we're going to continue using them,
Go.
Okay, I would like to officially go on record to let everybody know that Mr. Burford actually runs this school like a sweatshop, and if we can create awareness about this and bring it to the attention of CMS, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
How do you feel about sweatshops in other countries and in America? I hate you.
I feel like it's wrong. I was gonna say drought. Just take this part off.
I hate